Yep. That's fine.
I spoke to Frank.
Yep, Frank.
This afternoon. Now, you mentioned a question I don't know about. We've got 5 o'clock for 25 years.
That's it. Go on,
So you made up this curriculum.
Okay, so
5 o'clock for 25 years, 30 to 40, whatever it is. For me, what happens after that time? I mean, if you've got either cremated or a grave.
Yep. With graves, that's a with graves, it's automatically perpetuity, not stamp set.
Yeah.
It's automatically perpetuity for a grave. Cremator remains, you have an option of buying a limited tenure or perpetuity. It's part of the Act, it's defined in the Act. So you've got a choice, 25 years, so it's a 25-year lease to that plot. On the 24th year, we have to try and notify the family that the lease is being expired and give the family the options. So if you've purchased anything in the cemetery, regardless if it's a cremation memorial or a grave, always update your records. We might have a situation that the lease it's being expired, your tenure is expiring. Give the family the option of upgrading to another 25 years or perpetuity. But also, if the grave gets vandalised, if we damage it with our machinery, we wish to advise the family of that, and we can only do that if you provide the contact details. And also inherit it. It becomes part of the estate. So if your parents got a grave, they both pass away, you inherit that grave. You become responsible for that grave. Advise us of your details, and then that will actually go to the second generations. Yep.
So the next question is, I'm talking
Yep.
my grandmother then.
Yep.
I mean, when he goes, or even now, who's responsible at the end of the day? What if someone at some
Yep.
stage, someone's not going to know their great grandmother or something
Yep.
like that? What happens to their great grandmother?
Is that a burial? You're talking
I must have burial or
well, burial.
Yep.
Burial is forever, so that will stay there forever.
Not 100 years, not 500 years, not 1,000 years. Forever. It's a long time.
There was an interesting thing, you brought it up last meeting, Darryl, and that was when a grave deteriorates. And I'm like, is that what you...
I was thinking that at the end of the day, I've got a great grandmother.
Yep. Please, someone's inherited that grave through the years, as Matt just mentioning. If it starts deteriorating, we need to make it safe. If we know the family, who the family is, we can say that the grave is becoming unsafe. You've got an opportunity and a responsibility to make it safe. If you can't make it safe, we can make you make it safe if we know who you are. If we don't, all we can do is make it safe, and that's usually laying it down. And once you lay down an old monument, especially the old sandstone, Barrel Hill sandstone or some marble, within 5-10 years, it's nothing left. It's gone.
There was an example brought up at the last meeting. It was about Anne Drysdale's grave. We were talking about Anne Drysdale's grave, and the issue was we thought that we could just go in and fix it up, or do some fundraising, or move her out to Drysdale, something like that. Well,
yes,
that was something
yes.
we were thinking about. But the issues were.
Yeah. Well, the legalities of it is somebody owns that grave still, down the chain. But there are. Well, if you wanted to do something like that with a memorial like that, then there would be, I suppose, avenues to go down that you
We
would
can
probably
initially
get.
advertise. We can go through the Department of Health to ask for a special permission to do that. You'd have to go through Heritage Victoria also for that. You would never get the remains back here. Dodgson moved the remains, both Anne and also Caroline, across there for a reason. It'll be his. I don't think he ever married, so it'll be whoever his beneficiaries become. If he left the grave to the Lost Dogs home, that would have been the owner of the grave. You'd have to get their permission for it, and that's the way it is. If you do, you can you inherit the grave, but you can also pass on the grave specifically within the will also. If you don't, it just becomes part of the general estate. It is on Crown land. You don't own the grave. You own the right of the interment, so it's an important part.
And the monument.
And the monument, yes.
So can we fix it up?
Well, we would have, as Frank just said, you would have to advertise to make sure that nobody was in opposition to work being done on it. It's not
It needs a bit of work.
It's
It needs some
shocking.
work. It's done
It
to form
is.
both sides. And it needs a good clean-up also. We can't use trust funds towards it because it is public funds for the perpetual maintenance, because we don't ask for maintenance, and I know someone's asked for a question, we don't ask for maintenance grants continually from people. You only pay it for a grave once. You pay for each digging each time, and there's a permit fee for the memorial. That's all the trust makes out of those, to put money aside to maintain the cemetery forever. There was a question there.
I have owned the gravesite for 49 years in Drysdale Cemetery. Now, do I understand that I do not have room?
Yes,
No,
you still
no,
own
you still own it.
Yep, yep, you
I
still
thought
own
you
it.
said 25.
No, that's for
cremator
cremated remains, not a grave.
Yeah, bodily remains, and it is using the term bodily remains, so a full coffin is there forever. Under the old Act, you had 25 years to use the grave, or you have to buy it back. Under the new Act, as long as your contact details there, and as long as you still want the grave, it's still your grave. You can sell it back to the trust, and we have to buy it back of you at today's rate. So, over 40 years ago, a bit of an income boost out of there. We do take a maintenance fee off you though. We've had to maintain that grave for
We've
those
maintained it
years.
for 49 years. You won't get much.
But please do confirm with our office. We've got some brochures just through there for some of our memorials and our graves, and give us a call. Make sure that your details are still current with us, please, just in case.
Price difference between the 25 and the perpetuity?
Look, I'm guesstimate. I can get the brochure. It's about 3 times the price. So about $350 for 25 years for a rose position, and about $1,300 for perpetuity forever.
Right.
Yes.
What's the anticipated life of the grounds and cemetery? You said the limitation.
About the 20 years.
Yep.
Yeah, and look, most of the cemeteries we have, the pocket cemeteries, apart from the new ones that we are looking at having larger sites, you're looking at around the 20 years. Eastern Cemetery, about 20 years also. So the next 20 years, then people will have to learn to travel a bit more of a distance, nowhere near as much as Melbourne, but they'll have to learn to travel to Central Ballarat, Geelong Memorial Park, Lara, and look, Mount Moriac will also become a large cemetery hub.
Probably live longer would be a good idea too.
Well, yeah. Hello?
What happens if you put cremated remains in the corner of the burial plot?
Then they're there forever. You can put up to 4 sets of cremated remains in a grave, and they become there in perpetuity automatically.
You have to advise us, we have to install the cremated remains. You can't do it on your own. You can't scatter on your own, it goes on our records. But it's a good point, Dave, because we need to know on our records, and there is defined paperwork in the Act. It is right of return and statute of purchase, there are legal documents, and it's illegal to actually do that without our knowledge and our permission.
This is about cemeteries. That's the question. What happens to scattered remains? Do you keep a record of that?
If you scatter them within our cemetery and you tell us that, well, we scatter them for you within our cemetery with your present or not, it goes on our register that they have been scattered in our cemetery, and so there is a record. And that's a very good point, because people that, it's a lovely idea to go and scatter dad or mum at the favourite fishing spot or wherever, but there is no history then. So even a bronze plaque, the cremated remains don't have to be there, but even if there's a bronze plaque somewhere or an entry in the book of remembrance out at the crematorium, whatever, there is a history. So, and that might not be important today, but in a few years' time it becomes fairly important.
You mentioned earlier about 25 years the cremated remains.
Yep.
And you try to identify quickly. If you cannot get in touch with anyone, that's what happens to the remains.
We have to on the 24th year, 12 months, we have to try and notify. If we can't have notification within the records, then it's in the local paper, trying to find John Doe's descendants. Still can't, then the trust has got the right to remove those remains and determine what they want to do with it. So most likely it will end up being scattering those remains within an area and disposing of the plaque or the memorial, and then that position is freely available again. So that's why it's important to decide what you want to do. You can upgrade from 25 years. Prior to 2005, 1995, it was 50 years. So, and prior to in the mid-70s to 80s, it was perpetuity then.
Yep.
So it changes within the acts. So it's just important to talk to the family. Just if you've got a promoter remains memorial, contact their office, find out what's left, and we can actually tell you what is actually the cost to upgrade that to perpetuity, which means there's nothing to worry about anymore.
Tom?
With the aesthetics within that confines.
Yep.
If somebody wants to put up a tree, for example, is that an issue?
Yep.
It is.
We have to plant it. We have to plant the tree.
Yep.
We have to.
Is there a limit to the size of the tree?
Well, we will determine the type or the size of tree that needs to go. The thing you've got to remember is we're responsible for it. So if it dies, we replace it.
Yep. There was an issue in Drysdale Cemetery, wasn't there, Darryl, for a while?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And
without getting to the silly stage of this, with carbon sequestration and carbon credits, is that something that you guys are looking at? And is it worthwhile going in that?
We have looked at it with the carbon, and it's all justified reasons. The industry has looked at cremation versus burial, and how many trees per cremation. But the trees have to survive for 90 years to make it viable. So that tree has to survive for that time. That's why a lot of the carbon plantations haven't survived very well, because they've had fire. As soon as a fire goes through, it's gone. You've started from scratch.
You've got lots of carbon.
Yes. So carbon credits haven't worked very well. We have looked at doing the on sale of, okay, look, if you buy a memorial tree, you're helping to minimise the footprint. Anything's, we do put a lot of trees in the cemeteries, and they're all for sale. Falsifolias were a big part of Drysdale through here, and we lost all the nice falsifolias at Drysdale. They all got the white rock through there, all died. And they were probably 100 years, if not